Welcome to the AT Innovation and Impact podcast, where we dive deep into the assistive technology innovations transforming lives. I'm Mwenda. This series is brought to you by the Global Disability Innovation Hub's flagship AT 2030 program and is funded by UKAid. In this episode, we have one of the pioneering AT innovators from the Innovate Now program who has spearheaded AT innovation and disability inclusion across Africa and beyond. Brian, the founder and CEO of HopeTech, is a visionary who believes the healthy society is one where everyone participates in everyday activities regardless of their challenges. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mariam.
Great. So I want to start with understanding what is the journey of HopeTech? Where did you begin? Where does the story of HopeTech begin?
So thank you for the opportunity for us to share our story.
Of course.
My journey with HopeTech started 8 years ago, but then I got introduced to the world of disability a lot earlier. So I went to school with people with disabilities. I was a beneficiary of the Kenya Integrated Education Program, which was an initiative by the Kenyan government to integrate education. So we shared the same facilities with people with disabilities. And I think from that early age is when I realized there are so many gaps and so many challenges that need to be addressed in order for us to achieve full inclusion for people with disabilities. My background is in engineering, and I've always wanted to use my engineering knowledge to build assistive devices, assistive technologies and solutions for people with disabilities. And that's how HopeTech was born.
Wow. So it officially started 8 years ago, but the seed was planted, as they say, in early education. So can you tell me a little bit about, and our audience obviously as well, how that sort of early experience of studying with children with disabilities, how do you have any sort of inspiration from that time, and how did that lead to eventually working in the AT space?
Yeah, I think after many years of being in the AT space, I think one of the big challenges that we have is awareness about the capabilities of people with disabilities. I was very fortunate to be in this situation where I could share my life and share my experiences with people with disabilities and could see their strengths, but not many people get that opportunity. So I think one of the things that really needs to be done is for us to integrate most of the things. We don't need to live in a segregated society. Without the integration that I had in school, I wouldn't have had any idea of challenges or even opportunities that of innovation in this space. So I feel like that seed that was planted by being in a space that I could share sports, I could share accommodation with people with disabilities, really gave me a different worldview. I'd say a different worldview of how the world can be when we do integration for everyone, especially people with disabilities. Yeah.
That's wonderful, and it's good to hear that beyond AT and innovation, the focus is towards creating an inclusive society where disability inclusion is mainstream, rather than working in silos and specialist organizations. So that's great to hear. And of course, HopeTech started with the vision to promote disability inclusion for people with visual impairments. So can you tell us a little bit about why visual impairment?
I feel like visual impairment is one of the least innovated spaces. So a visually impaired person only gets braille machines and braille equipment, and for mobility they only get a white cane. And I could see the limitations that come when you're very limited in mobility. So once you limit someone in their mobility, you restrict them from so many other opportunities in terms of employment, in terms of participating socially, starting your own business. So I felt that this is one of the key areas that I really wanted to address. How do we help visually impaired people to become independent in their mobility? And that would open up so many opportunities for them. Some of these other challenges that come are related to mobility. So for us was, if we can be able to solve the challenge of mobility for visually impaired people, we can actually make a really huge step towards inclusion and integration. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and the technology today is definitely suited for, because we have made major leaps in the last 10 years, I would say, in terms of improving navigation technologies. So let's go back to the past a little bit, and from school, and you said that you went to engineering school. So how did you end up with Innovate Now? Of course, you were part of the first cohort.
Yeah, I think how I found myself in this space of building assistive technologies is actually by chance, because I was just another engineer building products at home. But then the first opportunity I got was through the Royal Academy of Engineering in the UK, where they helped me to train to become an entrepreneur rather than an engineer, because as an engineer you develop many products, but then as an entrepreneur these products can become sustainable. So that was the first experience that I had in the business world, and I think right now I'm more of an entrepreneur than an engineer. I got involved with Innovate Now after this program, where I now have transitioned to become an entrepreneur, and I think that was really the right time for us, because Innovate Now gave us an opportunity to learn about how do we achieve the right product market fit, and also how do we achieve the right product solution fit. So product solution fit is making sure you have the right solution for your users, which is really, really critical. And through live labs and other things supported through Innovate Now, we really got in touch with our users and made sure that we have mechanisms and ways to really extract the need and build the right product for them. And also through the product market fit approach was how do we make sure the product is sustainable in the market? How do we ensure that we have a product that can serve the market needs? So I think we figured out those two things really through the Innovate Now program.
Very interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about your product, or the idea that you had when you joined Innovate Now, and how that developed or evolved through live labs and co-creation, and where you are now?
Yeah, so when you look at the problem of mobility for a visually impaired person, it's about information. So once you have a white cane, the information you get through the white cane is not enough to make a successful journey. So what we did initially was how do we build a product that gives somebody who's visually impaired more information, for example, more range in terms of longer than the white stick, hazards above the knee level, for example, something that may hit your head. So from an engineering perspective was how do we collect all this information, give it to the visually impaired person for them to make a better decision to move. Once we joined the Innovate Now program, we were able to speak to more users, and we were able to structure this process of prototyping really quickly and iterating very quickly and learning from the users. So incorporating that feedback, and it's a loop, it's a cycle. It's not something linear. Once you collect feedback, you incorporate it, you go to product. So it's something that keeps on, you keep on doing innovation. So we really learned a lot from our users, and I think that was the point that we also learned that we have to build a product that is global. So something that's not for the Kenyan or for the African market, but because the problem is experienced universally. So how do we build a product that can be used by somebody who's visually impaired in Europe, in Australia, in America, for example? And that's when we began the process of reaching out to partners in all these countries. And to date, we have presence in the UK, in Austria, here in Kenya, and we've done a lot of work in Australia as well. So and you realize there's so many differences, cultures, perception of the product itself, and I think it's been a really interesting journey to this point where now we're launching this really evolved from what was a smart cane handheld device to this wearable device that is the Sixth Sense now. We are aiming to launch towards the end of this year, and I'm really excited to incorporate 8 years of learning and into this one product, where we also brought together so many partners. I really am so excited to get to this point.
And so are we. It's definitely really inspiring to hear the journey, and also, of course, you are an engineer at heart. That's why you came up with the solution. But it's good to see your journey, personal journey, from being an engineer to an innovator, and then potentially thinking about also running this as a business, right? So it takes a lot of a holistic knowledge of the ecosystem, of the business, and also engineering to make a successful product. So speaking of going to different places, and you mentioned that you found several differences in the way that disability is perceived, or how people with visual impairments navigate, etc. So could you give us some examples of what sort of differences that you found from Kenya or African AT ecosystem in those countries?
So there is a there is a difference in terms of perception of assistive technologies. There are places where there's a lot of stigma associated with, for example, a white cane, which is primary mobility aid for somebody who's visually impaired. And most people would prefer not to use the white cane completely. So one of the adaptations that we have in our product is that it's a discrete product. So once you're wearing the product, it looks like a pair of headphones. So it's not easily distinguishable as a disability product. Because one of the users actually from Austria mentioned that so there is a requirement in Austria to, if you're visually impaired, you need to carry a white cane, you need to wear an armband to indicate to everyone that you're visually impaired, and this is something that this person really doesn't like to do. But then once you get into an accident, insurance will not pay if you don't have these things. So it was really interesting to see what users really want, their privacy, to just walk down the street without everybody staring at me. So some of the things that we really had to learn and adapt into the product are that. Yeah.
Interesting. So did you find that in Kenya or other countries that you may have tested in Africa, and because of the cultural differences as well, did you find any particular differences in how people wanted to use the device, and that led to potential adaptations or evolution of the product?
Yeah, so something that we realized actually in the middle of our development process was that different people experience their disability very differently. So one visually impaired person doesn't experience the world the same as another. And one of the things that we've done with the product is that it's highly customizable depending on the type of sight loss you have. Some people have tunnel vision, others cannot see in the middle. So it's very different. The mobility needs are very different. So our product is highly customizable so that it can adapt to the type of sight loss that you have, and also to the type of environmental requirements that you need. Probably you need to wear a certain kind of clothes. There's a way you can adjust the product to suit that particular use.
Yeah. So the type of information or the amount of information can be customized to the particular AT user. That's really key here, isn't it? Because we often hear from people that they would like the information to be tailored to their own needs, and that gives the user the power really to control the technology rather than the technology controlling them. So it's really about empowerment, isn't it, with these technologies. So you mentioned a little bit about partnership building, especially as the venture is growing or expanding to different markets. So what would you say that the impact of certain partnerships has been on your progress or HopeTech's progress and your success so far?
Yeah, so I'd say when I started my journey in terms of building AT in Africa, it was a relatively new concept. We built it within this medtech bubble. Nobody really understood what AT was, so we did a lot of educating investors, educating people. This is it's not only charities that can do work in this space. So when building a business such as this one, you really need all the support that you can get, and leveraging on partnerships has been really key for us. So in terms of validation, so I was very fortunate to work with huge organizations like the Royal Academy of Engineering, GDI Hub, and this really gives investors confidence in terms of the kind of support that you have behind you. So in terms of that validation for the business, which is really critical, awards and partnerships with certain organizations really helps to boost the confidence in the business. But on top of that, easier entry into the market, you get to do things much easier. For example, some of our partnerships into Austria means that we can recruit 100 users very quickly for trial, for testing. It means that our partners can do part of the work, and we don't have to spend a huge amount of money doing that. And of course, for startups, you really need to save all the money that you can.
Of course.
I think that kind of access and ease of doing things, and as a startup, you need to do things really quickly, to prototype, to iterate very quickly. So partnerships really enable us to do all these things.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. And so, again, coming from an engineering background, how did Innovate Now prepare you for the business world and almost, being thrown into the deep end where you come out and you want to expand to new markets, you want to talk to, investors, funders, partners. How did Innovate Now prepare you for something like that?
Yeah, so once you start a business, you quickly realize there are so many moving parts. I think one of my friends describes it as you're building the plane and you're flying it at the same time. So that's mostly the case.
Yeah.
And so Innovate Now really helped us at this point where we have to do 1 million things. What do we focus on? How do we hit the next milestone to unlock the next level of funding, which is really something that most businesses get wrong, especially most startups. You don't have to do everything at once, but you need to do just enough to hit the next milestone, to unlock the next level of funding, and even understanding what kind of funding is available to you at what stage.
Yeah.
I remember when you were starting out, we were looking to speak to VCs, and just looking back now, I just laugh because there's no way VC would invest in that kind of a business at the time. But that knowledge was, we didn't have that kind of knowledge. So a program like Innovate Now really helped us to understand what is available to us and what we need to do to unlock the next level, and how do we grow the business to bring the product to market. Yeah.
That's brilliant, and you're absolutely right, and you put it very rightly that you are building the plane and flying at the same time, because you have to continuously evolve the product and the business, but at the same time you want to test it and you want to make sure that the investors see it as of value and potential impact. So it's definitely a very much multitasking, isn't it, at the same time. So that's great to hear of your experience, and it's clear from your story and from your journey that you as a person has evolved, right? You have evolved from 8 years ago when you started your journey. What sort of skills would you say that you have acquired through training, through experience, and just growth?
Yeah, so I think we call it a baptism by fire. But so the journey has not been a really easy one.
Yeah.
I've had so many challenges, but I've found ways to overcome them. And one of the ways of giving back to the next generation of innovators was setting up an innovation hub in Nairobi. So we've set up a Census Hub, which is a research center in Nairobi that helps other entrepreneurs, other innovators in this space to come in and not have to face the same problems that we did, because we already have these learnings. And we help them to prototype, to test with users the right way, using our own tried methods, and to bring products to market. So I feel like this is something that's really dear to me, because like something that I've learned, I've spent a lot of time and effort learning, but now I'm able to share with other people and I think amplify the impact that we've had. So Census Hub is something that's really dear to me.
Yes, an incredible space as well. We are at Census Hub right now, so it's really wonderful. So, what would you say that when you started your journey, and now, what is the difference that you see in AT innovation and ecosystem in Africa, but also during your travels to other countries? What has changed in the last decade, would you say?
Yeah, so I think quite a lot has changed. Definitely the amount of activity in this space. So we have a lot of innovators, a lot of, there is targeted funding that's available now in terms of grant funding, and investors are warming up to investing in this space. And there's a lot of research that has been done in terms of the opportunity of investing in assistive technologies. So this really helps any other innovator right now to come and show this is the research, there's an opportunity here. Before, this did not exist, and it was really difficult to convince anybody who wants to invest in the space to do so. So I feel like we are slowly preparing the way for future innovators, so that they'll find it's an easier playing field. It's always easier as we go along, so that's really good. But I feel like I feel happy, because if if I was starting right now, it will be really, really smooth. And I don't know, it was really tough starting 8 years ago and
Yeah.
being there as the space is being grown.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that myself and my team, we all persevered through the years.
Yeah, yeah. So as they say that you need to go through a lot of pressure to become a diamond. I think that's what it is. You need to go through that grind to be able to reach this place where you can actually do well, and you have that experience and understanding of different things that you are involved in. So that's great to hear. So what would you say it makes, what ingredients, if you will, make a good, successful AT or in general entrepreneur?
Wow. I think being rooted in, I'll say the problem first, but then I'll go to the user.
Sure.
So I think the AT user, the person that you're building this for, is the key thing in the whole business. For me, the AT user is what has helped me to persevere through the years, because there are many times that we ran out of funding, we had so many challenges. But then when you remember there's somebody who can actually benefit from this product that you're building, and most of them actually call you and ask, hey, Brian, it's 6 months, you said you'll do this, but you haven't done it already. So I think that really keeps us going. And I think it's one of those few fields where you build a product and you can see the impact on somebody's life, and you can see the potential of the impact that this thing can have. So I think the journey is extremely rewarding. So for us, we put the user and the user needs in the middle of the business, and we just innovate from there. And that really guides us in terms of our values, in terms of our resources, where we dedicate them, and all that we do.
Yeah, it's great to hear that the values when it comes to innovation, because often we don't talk about those kind of things, because it's mostly about innovation itself, it's about efficiency, it's about functionality, productivity. But this approach that you have and Innovate Now has followed of user-centered or human-centered design and co-creation, it seems to be very impactful, where you kind of begin with the end in mind, because you know you're putting the AT user at the heart of it. Do you think that that impacts how quickly you're able to iterate or improve your product and eventual success as well?
Yeah, so I think the worst thing you can do as an innovator, as an entrepreneur, is bring your product to market and just realize that you're solving an existent need, or there's a really big assumption that you made. So for us, and for any entrepreneur, it's really important at every single stage to involve the user, to learn and build the product with them. So at the time you're going to market, you're not really expecting any surprises, and there can't be surprises, because you've really built this product with the users, together with the users. There's this phrase, nothing for us without us, and we've always built our products with the users and not for the users. So there's a really huge difference in terms of the outcome of the product and also the success of the product.
That's wonderful to hear. So you've been a busy guy since you started your work in Innovate Now. And of course, you have partnered with so many different organizations and countries. You have established Census Hub, 6th Census coming out at the end of the year. What is next? What are your future aspirations for yourself, your company, but also in general, AT innovation in Africa?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good work that has been done in this space, but I still feel the journey is quite long. So with Census Hub, we are trying to build scalable models for distribution of assistive technologies. We're trying to introduce new products, making them available to persons with disabilities across Africa. So it's a huge task. We don't know how we will do it, but for us, it's let's start and we figure it along the way. And this has worked for us in the past. So for me, I'm really excited to see the kind of work that we can do across Africa in the next few years. And with 6th Sense, I think we've had so many iterations, so many other products launched before that I'm just so happy to see this product in market and being used by people. So I feel like it will be that huge point of relief for me when I see the product in the market and being used. So very, very excited. And I don't have plans beyond that. I think I just need to see the Sixth Sense launched.
Yeah.
It's just been a really long journey.
Yeah. In a true iterative, agile sense, working towards the next milestone and then figuring it out how that, and being adaptive and reflexive towards that. That's really important. I would like to wish you very best of luck with your Sixth Sense product and your future adventures in across the world, I guess. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Mary.